This is Michael Popok, Legal AF Hot Take. Will Melania Trump force Donald Trump to take the stand in his own defense at the Stormy Daniels-based hush money cover-up election interference trial next week? Is that what Melania is going to do to get back at Donald Trump for the allegations that for a year, while she was caring for her infant son, Barron, yeah, the guy that's now 6'7", but he was an infant at one time, that to get back at him to defend her honor, she's going to force him to take the stand? That's one speculation that we just heard from a close friend, I think it's a former close friend at this point, of Melania Trump, Stephanie Grisham, who on CNN, on a clip, laid out what kind of strain on the marriage is going on right now, in her estimation, in the Trump household. Let's take a listen.
This case, many people have said, is probably the least damning against him, and I don't disagree with that. However, this is very personal to him. This is an embarrassment to him with his family, and more importantly, with his wife, Melania. And, I spent a ton of time with her when the news was breaking about Stormy Daniels when we were in the White House, and then, of course, with Karen McDougal, who's the former Playboy Playmate, when those came out that he allegedly had these affairs. And she didn't take it lightly at all. We went to the State of the Union separately. She refused to walk out to Marine One with him because she did not want to be like Hillary Clinton and standing by her man. She's a very independent and strong woman. And I might add, there have been articles just recently that she's his secret weapon for this upcoming campaign. And so I would imagine that she is pushing him to make this stop. I would imagine that she will push him to go on the stand and defend himself. Because this is very, very embarrassing for her. It's humiliating for her. And I can guarantee you that she's not happy right now and that he's quite worried about that.
Okay. Let me now tie that back. I mean, I'm not People Magazine or Us Magazine. Let me try to tie it back to the law. And let me start it with other places where Melania is alleged to have intervened, according to Donald Trump. One of the first places that would have put a crack or a fissure in the marriage, of course, is the E. Jean Carroll allegations, now proven at trial twice, that he raped E. Jean Carroll in the dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman department store in the spring of 1996, and then serially defamed her. E. Jean Carroll did it over and over again in two separate trials. A total of 18 jurors in New York in two separate federal trials ruled against Donald Trump, adjudged him to be a rapist, and then in addition to that he owed her, E. Jean Carroll, as the victim, punitive damages totaling up to almost $100 million in total. That, according to reporting, put a strain on the marriage as you would understand it. But Donald Trump always sort of took the position, has always taken the position, despite the overwhelming evidence and testimonial evidence to the contrary, that he didn't know E. Jean Carroll. This is a shakedown. She's a con artist. I mean, this is the basis of the defamation. He never met her. It's a hoax and the like. And I guess maybe that kept the home fires burning in the Trump-Melania marriage. And it happened before they got married. So maybe Melania was able to compartmentalize this and justify it and deny it in her mind. But even during that trial, though, there was evidence that was presented by witnesses, including Ms. Witkoff, who was a reporter for Us Magazine, who went to do a profile of Donald Trump and Melania's new marriage. And she says, Stephanie Witkoff, she says that during their interaction, when Melania left the room, Donald Trump put her up against a closet, big interior, walk-in closet, and sexually assaulted her. That came out in the trial of E. Jean Carroll, the first E. Jean Carroll trial. And that was during the marriage. Now fast forward, Stormy Daniels claims, Stephanie Clifford claims, got a lot of Stephanies here, claims that she and Trump had sex for 2 minutes somewhere in that 2006, 2007 time period, and then he kept calling her, so they don't want to call it an affair, but he kept going after her, while now, fast forward a year or two, after Melania had given birth to Barron. And that's the strain right there. Now, the question on this hot take is that going to force Donald Trump to take the stand? I've always taken the position as a New York lawyer, trial lawyer, that there's no way his lawyers will allow Donald Trump to take the stand. Every time Donald Trump takes the stand in his own defense, things go worse for him, not better. He tried to talk the second jury and E. Jean Carroll into believing that he didn't sexually assault E. Jean Carroll and wasn't responsible for defaming her and shouldn't be responsible for punitive damages. And they said, well, you know that $5 million number the first jury put together? We're going to go to $83.5 million. Thank you for testifying. Thank you for playing. There's the door. That was the jury. And then when Donald Trump decided he was going to testify or handle his own closing argument or whatever that was supposed to be at the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, in front of the judge, Judge Engoron, who was making the ruling and the judgment about how much fraud had been committed by Donald Trump and his organization for that 10-year period, that backfired because the judge commenting on Donald Trump's lack of truth-telling in his own testimony hit Donald Trump with a $465 million judgment when he testified. So it's not like when he testifies, things get better. I mean, I know clients who have said to me, I'll testify because I'm a fact witness. I'm not going to win your case for you. I'm not going to make it. I won't lose it for you. It'll be like a push. And like, okay, I appreciate the honesty on that one. With Donald Trump, his lawyers have got to be telling him based on empirical evidence, you testify, you lose. You testify, you lose. And when it comes to a criminal case, you testify, you may go to jail. So I don't care, that Melania might be on him to do the chivalrous thing and I guess lie because Stormy Daniels has all the evidence that she needs. She's got the photos. She's got the testimony. She's got the documentary. She's got Michael Cohen, who will corroborate all of it. She's got Hope Hicks, who used to be Donald Trump's press secretary, had been the press secretary for the campaign at the time in 2016, and she'll testify about Donald Trump's knowledge of the whole scheme to pay off Stormy Daniels through Michael Cohen. Alan Weisselberg, now in jail, won't be testifying, but Michael Cohen and others can testify about the role of the chief financial officer for Donald Trump. And the jury's going to be like, I wonder when somebody's going to come in here and testify on behalf of Donald Trump. Now, look, in many criminal cases, I'll speak to you from that experience. On the defense side, you do your defense through cross-examination because under our system of justice and criminal justice system, there's no obligation on behalf of the criminal defendant to take the stand at all, right? He has a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, doesn't have to testify, and the burden is on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, not all doubt, a reasonable doubt to the 12 members of this jury. 12, yeah, they have to go 12-0 in front of the jury, and Donald Trump only has to go 1 for 12. That's our balance on our scales of justice. Defendant only has to go one juror has to side with the defendants. Prosecution has to go 12-0, run the table. And in this whole maelstrom of decision making, you've got Melania, apparently, according to her former best friend, up Trump's backside to testify. Say it's not true, Donald. I can't do her accent, I'm sorry. Say it's false, Donald. Deny it, Donald. Or whatever she would say. And then he's got that, right? Talk about a rock in a hard place. I'm not talking diamonds. You got Melania telling him, and not holding his hand, asking for more in a prenuptial. We've gotten the reporting on that. Every time she's got to do something to help Donald, it's always, gimme, more. I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just stating the obvious. Improve my financial condition in my prenuptial and sign on the dotted line. Give Barron a bigger trust account. Make sure Barron has whatever the smoldering remnants of the Trump organization that are left, the carcass of the Trump organization. Make sure he gets a part of that or is in leadership. Okay. This is like, we're watching a even more perverse real life version of Succession. And so you got that going on. You got Donald Trump like whistling past the graveyard, telling everybody, oh, Melania really supports my presidential ambitions again. She'll be out on the trail. She'll be out any minute. Well, she couldn't make it. The fundraisers are happening in her backyard. It's not like they're on the road. She's not showing up at Mar-a-Lago fundraisers that are effectively her back porch because she's busy or tied up or doesn't want to sit next to a serial rapist who's her husband or whatever you're going to call it. So you got that going on. So the question that's been presented by the former best friend of Melania Trump, who's been on the MeidasTouch network before, is Melania going to squeeze Donald Trump's, you know what, grab him by the short hairs and make him testify, even though any criminal lawyer in his right mind would tell him not to, based on, again, his track record of failure in front of juries. As I've said in prior hot takes, he's 0-30 for jurors. Every juror and grand jury and special purpose grand juror that has ever heard any version of facts related to Donald Trump have ruled against him. Every one, right? 2 E. Jean Carroll juries, federal, 9 apiece. So that's 18 right there. A 12-person jury 2 years ago found tax evasion by major Trump organizations, and that was a 12-person jury. So now we're up to 30-0. A new 12-person jury about to be picked next week. Grand jurors in Georgia ruled against Donald Trump. I mean, a couple of them didn't, but the majority did. Special purpose grand juries all recommended he be indicted. Grand jury in Miami, grand jury in D.C., and that's without Donald Trump testifying. So I'm going to conclude this hot take with the following. I respect the former best friend, the BFF of Melania Trump. And I think she has some inside knowledge as to the psychosis and emotional makeup of Melania Trump. Does she have enough power to wield when Donald Trump kind of needs her by his side in the campaign format to make him lose his mind and take the stand during the trial? We'll have to see. We'll get some information about this from the voir dire, the jury selection process, when we see how the lawyers for Donald Trump, Todd Blanche and Susan Neckles, approach the jury. And if they suggest that if my client doesn't take the stand, you can't hold that against them. Do you understand that? Or they're going to say, you're going to hear from Donald Trump yourself. We'll have to see what they do. They're probably going to hedge their bets a bit because they haven't made that decision, or Melania hasn't made her decision. But if Donald Trump's campaign, this is the campaign world, believes that she has to participate, and she won't unless under the condition that he testifies and rehabilitates her valor, right? And does the chivalrous thing, we'll have to see who wins. If he takes the stand, Melania won. If he doesn't take the stand, the criminal defense lawyers won. And we'll follow it right here on Legal AF and on the MeidasTouch network. I do my best work on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the MeidasTouch network on a show we call Legal AF. After this hot take, you know why. Come join us. You'll find out why we call it Legal AF. We curate the best 5 or so developments at the intersection of law and politics, and we bring it to you right here, exclusively on this network. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.